Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Wednesday, April 26. Back from a week's vacation and back into the maelstrom. Storms ripping across Arkansas today. We've got some reports of wind damage in the Russellville area for one. The day's not over yet. No serious damage yet, but the day isn't completed, as I've said. We're also mostly in a waiting period for the final execution of a round that had been scheduled to take 8 people off death row, but now it will only take as many as 4. There's still an execution set tomorrow night for Kenneth Williams. He was a person serving a life sentence for capital murder who escaped, killed a prison employee, and then killed another person in a car wreck as he tried to elude authorities. He's going to make a case that his mental disability disqualifies him from execution. That hasn't worked previously. There's still court actions pending, I would say, at this point. The odds are, based on recent events, that his day with lethal injection will occur tomorrow night, but we don't know that yet for sure. Most of the news today is coming from Washington, from the presidential administration of Donald Trump. One thing today, he signed another one of those executive orders that he didn't think much of back when he was a candidate. This one is aimed at eventually perhaps rolling back some earlier presidential orders that created national monuments on some pretty significant pieces of land out in the West, particularly in Utah, a couple of new monumental areas. Donald Trump calls these designations of national monuments massive federal land grabs. He's been very successful with the supporters before by talking about federal government overreach. This happens to fall in an area that tends to be very popular with voters. The national parks and national monuments are tremendous sources of tourism and outdoor recreation for millions of people, millions of jobs too. Can he successfully make conversion of great resources into national monuments a negative? Perhaps we'll see. He's done that before. Healthcare is also in the news. House Republicans say they're very close to an agreement on a new plan to replace Obamacare. They were off to a bad start immediately. It turns out that the draft plan includes getting rid of a very popular element of Obamacare, coverage of pre-existing conditions for most people in the United States. But guess who are left out of this? Members of Congress and their staff would still get the good insurance coverage. Doesn't look too good. Bad way to start. Uncertain yet what the Senate thinks about all this. And also there's more details emerging of Donald Trump's tax cut plan. Tax reform, he calls it. It'll mean a lot of people will pay more taxes because of the loss of some significant itemized deductions, particularly for state and local taxes. It will mean a bonanza in tax cuts for the ultra-wealthy, lower percentage rates for both individual and particularly for corporate income taxpayers who'd see a drop in corporate taxes from the 35% level to 15% level. It's a reignition of the old Laffer curve theory. That is that although these tax cuts normally would produce huge deficits, they won't now because such great economic activity will be produced by them. That's something that some economists challenge. We shall see. Again, there's some powerful forces that are working on this bill that want to see more budget balancing and less tax giveaways, but we don't yet know how that'll play out either. Today, the ACLU of Arkansas announced that it was going to join the lawsuit about the Fayetteville non-discrimination ordinance. People who support discrimination against gay people filed a suit successfully that said that the Fayetteville ordinance was not allowed by state law. No local ordinances protect gay people according to the state legislature's wishes. But there's still an argument on whether this is constitutional to essentially guarantee discrimination against a certain class of people because of their sexual orientation. The ACLU is on the case on behalf of some gay people in Fayetteville and the local chapter of PFLAG, parents, families, and other supporters of gay rights. News this afternoon developing in the case of Wendell Griffen, the judge who was taken off a lawsuit over a drug used in the execution process because he participated in a death penalty demonstration on the same day he issued a ruling in the case. There's going to be a news conference today that's going to raise some ethical questions about the Arkansas Supreme Court and the Attorney General of Arkansas and how they've handled some elements of this case. You may know that Wendell Griffen thinks that he wasn't treated fairly in the way his case was reviewed. He said he acted within the law and within ethics rules, although the legislature seems to be hungry to impeach him and throw him out of office for expressing his First Amendment rights in the era of capital punishment. It's perhaps interesting to note that late yesterday, the Judicial Discipline and Disability Commission announced that it issued a strong admonishment to Circuit Judge Bill Pearson, who'd been convicted of DWI and reckless driving and had a fleeing charge dismissed against him for a drunken episode over near Clarksville. Committing a crime in Arkansas is not subject to dismissal from the bench, but expressing your opinion on the death penalty, some people think that should be grounds for dismissal from the bench. two standards at work there, I think. Well, there's a lot to still resist based on the news out of Washington today. I urge you to do that. And let me say this, I did go to Cuba this week. Havana's quite a stop. I had to spend my worthless Cuban pesos before I left the country. I bought 5 or 6 Cuban cigars. I don't smoke them. Send me an email at maxbrantley@Arkansas Times and tell me why you or a friend should get some of these cigars, and I'll send them on to you in the U.S. mail, if that's legal anyway, or maybe you'll have to pick them up. I'm Max Brantley. Keep resisting. I'll be back tomorrow.